Warning: this video contains spoilers from events that took place within the first issue. If you haven't read it already, then do yourself a favor, pause this video and go read it now. You have a few seconds to do so, so I've put a loading screen just for that. So there you go. Hello everyone, welcome back. This is Alrav from Quebec, Canada, the author and creator of Algatras the Protector / Algatras le Protector. And for today's video, as part 2 of the making of Algatras, I'll be covering the character designs that were used in the making of the first issue itself. For those of you who are aspiring artists, there is a saying to think big, to think small. And this applies too for character design, so that's why the first one that I made, I use a notepad like this to make them. So the first character design that I've made were actually intended for the henchmen that are seen in the first issue. I use these as well to test out proportions in 2D before I would do the finished product, so I would use them as reference, intend them with the character design. While the left page so far focus on the proportions themselves, the right side pages focus more on character design that were intended to be used for the Sons of the Ultimates. That's the parody terrorist group that's seen very early in the first issue before they get wiped out by the plane crash. I wanted to show more of the design, but because of the way I want them, only the extremist leader of sort was used and shown properly. Besides that, there were a few GIA officers who worked with Algatras who also got sacrificed. So here's a glimpse at the police bots that are introduced, and another look at the reptilian prime minister of sort that's used in tandem with Algatras, and another glimpse at Algatras. I've written him several times. Most of the emphasis I wanted to put was on the haircut itself. I did consider the possibility of giving him a different haircut between the flashback and the present moment scenes, but I was too late to do that. I would have, if I redid it, the first issue, I would have given him a shorter hair for the flashback before giving him the longer hair as seen in the present moment. So here's another scaling test of sort with Zextron avatars. Some of the designs are different here. Here is the first look at Teze. As I already heard before, I would actually implement her in the first issue, as well as a glimpse of the prison through preparation materials. Again, to test out proportions in 2D before I would draw them in 3D as intended. And the plane itself that's used for the briefing session. So here's an early look at Algatras protector suit. So the earring area of the suit itself are much bigger compared to the finished version. And there's actually a very funny reason for that. I'll get to it very shortly. So here's more of a look at the suit itself at a different angle. I was still experimenting with the proportion of the helmet itself, and that's largely because of a design disaster that I made early on. More look at the plane itself, the reference that I used for the briefing scene inside, followed by another reference, this time for inside the Project Protector HQ. I first look at the Android support workers in their finalized version of sort. A first look at Speedbuster, the first version of it I have made. There are many more after that, as well as some early prototypes that were made before. A first look at Vicky. That was the initial body mold of sort I used for our character. And that's when I'll talk about the design disaster that I mentioned. In professional artists, they use the head as measurement unit for the proportion of characters. So in my instance, I used the classic Marvel style proportion for Algatras, but I had a tendency to drawing the heads way bigger than they should be, by simply drawing a flat square, a circle on where the head should reside. So it made the jaw area stick out, and it also messed up the proportion as a result. So that was a design disaster from the first half of the first issue. I didn't notice it at first until I get to suit up Algatras. His helmet in particular, they made the design worse, so I would eventually had to change it. And this here is where you can see the design disaster of sort. Instead of drawing the head within the allocated head space, I simply draw a circle and then I would add the jaw on top of it, so it made the head way longer than they should, and it messed up the proportions. So for General Thunder himself here, it wasn't that much of an issue, but for the human-sized character, it would become more and more noticeable as I kept going through the first issue. So that's why I eventually changed it. So here's another look at the external avatars themselves and the head sculpt that I use for each one of these, as well as another reference, this time for Design Wiki in the monitoring room. That's used in parallel with the action. First look at the Deagle in her protection suit of sort. Even more versions of Speedbuster itself. And even more so here. And here as well. The idea for the name, it was supposed to be a homage piece of sort to Speed Racer, because it was popular in the US apparently. It was a Tatsunoko Properties, and Tatsunoko Properties did serve as one of my big inspiration source to create my own Algatras. So I did pay homage. So here's more civilians casuals. You can see them very briefly in one of the later page, around the page 26 and so. And here's a look at Yomoko-chan, as she would eventually appear in the last 2 pages of the finished first issue itself. A look at the Bio Goliath that was eventually showcased in the first issue, as well as a scaling test, as well as another one involving various vehicles and such. And more references for the test subject itself. You can see it briefly in the pod within the van before it erupts and unleashes the fourth-born monster. Lastly, this video was initially intended to be part 3 of the making of Algatras series, but it was changed to bring number twisted, so please excuse the chronologically incorrect order. With that being said, thanks for watching. Let me know what you think in the commentary section below. As always, look forward to all the Algatras the Protector / Algatras le Protector stuff on my Substack. The links are available in the description below on my channel's page. And with that being said, thanks for watching, and we'll see one another very soon. Enjoy the reading.